I'm releasing another album, and today I want to do something slightly different because I want to talk about you. Obviously, in the album podcast, I've been talking a lot about myself and sort of going deep into my own creative process and my ups and downs. And I've tried to make it as valuable as possible to you, but it's been an unusual thing for me to do compared to everything else I've been doing since I started coaching. In that, I mean, while I do talk about myself to, as stories to help you in other areas, I haven't really done it. I haven't really been as kind of, this is what I'm doing about anything as I have in this series. So I'm going to revert to my more usual modus operandi. And is it operandi or operandi? I don't know. Anyway, MO, my usual MO, and get you to think about a few things, because it's something I've been noticing for a while now, and it's something that I've realized in myself, and it's that as human beings, we tend to wait to do things, and we tend to avoid making decisions, and we also feel a lot of doubt. And what I've realized has become extremely clear to me over the last few months, particularly making this album, is that we tend to think that the solution to doubt is to wait. And we tend to think that making a decision will cause more doubt. It's the other way around. Doubt is fed by waiting. And doubt is destroyed by making a decision. So one of the things that I would like you to think about, and this is something that I did when I finished this album, the 5th album, and was getting onto the release part. And because the release part is less interesting to me as the creation part, I mean, it's an important part for sure, but it's just a lot less interesting. I'm worried. I'm worried that I'm going to lose focus on the releasing, and I don't want to do that, because I really want to continue this album podcast by showing you how I'm thinking about releasing. It's really important to me, and I think it would be very valuable to you to see, to hear what I'm doing and how I'm thinking about releasing it. So what I did was I said to myself, because I was thinking, I can just feel myself getting pulled to making the next album, and I could just see it happening, that I just, this 5th album never gets properly released. That, I'm making a commitment right here, that is not going to happen. I'm going to do it for the good of you. Because, and so what I did was I sat down. I don't sit down, I stand up. So I stood up and I made a list, because I've got a stand-up desk. So I made a list of all of the things that I haven't decided, all of the things that I'm avoiding, all of the things that I am not sure about in relation to the releasing of the album. Because really I have been focused on just making it, and I think that's a great way of doing this. It's like, don't get all caught up in, what am I going to do in 10 steps time? No, success is knowing what to do next, right? So now I'm here, I made a list of all of these things, and almost instantly a plan formed in my mind. Simply, interestingly, by making a list of all of the things that I was avoiding or hadn't decided or hadn't committed to. And this is something that I really would like you to think about. If, for instance, you're thinking about making an album, you'd like to make an album, but you're thinking, it's not the right time, or I'm not ready, or I'm not good enough, or, I don't, I'm not as experienced as Mike, or I haven't got the time that Mike has, or I haven't got the situation that Mike has, or I haven't got the equipment that Mike has, or I haven't got the bald head that Mike has, or I haven't got the annoying sense of humour that Mike has. If you're thinking any of those things, then at the end of the day, and you want to make an album yourself, you are not going to be able to make an album by waiting. You don't become ready to make an album. You make an album to become ready. That's how it works. And if, that is a concept, which is somewhat useful, but how can you make it practical? By how you can make it practical, how you can actually think about, okay, so this is how I'm going to do it, is by making a list like this. What is it that you are not deciding? What is it that you are avoiding? What is it that you think you need to know? Just make a list of all these things. I mean, in my case, when I make lists like this, I'm always quite surprised as to how few things there are on the list. Because in making a list like that, you will quickly realize that a lot of these things that you're avoiding or not deciding are fairly, I mean, the only way that you can find out what to do is to do it. The only way that you can answer these questions is to do it. So by waiting, you're not doing anything but feeding the doubt. By actually doing the thing, you are destroying the doubt. Yeah, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen in the next second, let alone the next day. I could drop dead at any minute. I mean, the fact that you're listening to this means that I haven't. Well done, Mike. Yay. Right. But, as far as I'm concerned, from my perspective now in recording this, I could drop dead at any minute. That's a distinct possibility. That would not be, it would be unusual, but it wouldn't be weird. Yeah, it wouldn't defy the laws of physics. This kind of thing happens all the time, unfortunately. So we can't be certain of anything. So all we can do is proceed forward with the next step. And I would yes, sometimes it might not be the right time, for instance, to make an album. Let's say you're about to have a baby. Okay, I would say that might not be the right time to decide to make an album. Maybe you're in the middle of moving house and your studio is, I don't know, on a plane or on a boat somewhere. Well, even then, actually, that could be a good time to start an album because you can make music with phones and iPads. But anyway, but in general, there are very few situations in life in which it is not a good time to make an album if you want to make one. And there is no point, literally no point in your life when you are not ready to make an album. One of the Make an Album with Mike group, Shaylin, she, I think, downloaded her first DAW when she joined the case study team. So this was a program last year. So she's literally just started making music, and almost immediately she decided to make an album, and she's made an album. So, making albums is a great way of becoming ready, right? Of becoming. It's a great way of learning because you're doing something. You're doing a specific project which gives you the curriculum is the project. And if you're not a beginner, if you're not just starting out, if you've been making music for a long time and you're not making the kind of progress that you want to make, the question you want to ask yourself is, at what point will you be ready to make an album at this rate of progress? And how will you know you're ready to make an album? If you've been making music for any length of time, the fact of the matter is you are ready to make an album. In fact, even if you haven't been making music for any length of time. My label partner back when I did Playtime Records, and this was just before I'd started my first album, he said, "We need to release an album of yours. You need to make an album." And I said back to him back then, "I'm not ready to make an album." That's exactly what I said to him. But of course, I was. I always was. And what I've found by making these albums that I've made is that I make such enormous leaps in progress every single time that there's no sense in waiting to be ready, because that's, again, I keep saying it, that's how you become ready. Now, obviously, if you want to make an album, and if you're not sure that you can do it, then one way to make yourself more sure is to do it with other people. And there is the Make an Album with Mike program available to you. And now, obviously, this podcast is a free podcast. There's no ads. There's nothing like that. There's no chance of any ads happening. It's not something I'm interested in doing. I think it significantly twists incentives and stuff. So I'm not into doing that. So but occasionally I am going to, I do talk about things that I do otherwise, which help me keep doing these kinds of, these free podcasts and everything like that. So if you're interested in making an album, and if what I'm saying is resonating with you, then consider joining the Make an Album with Mike program. I'm intending, just so you know, I'm fully intending on doing another Make an Album with Mike program in September. However, I do have to say that, and this isn't just a line, it's true. Because the program, it's called Make an Album with Mike, right? And because the program is dependent on me actually making an album, of course, I can't guarantee that in September I'm going to make an album. I can't 100% guarantee that I'm going to do that. I'm intending to, but a lot can happen between now and September. I'm definitely going to make this next one. So if you're considering, if you're kind of thinking, well, maybe it's not, so maybe I'll wait till September, or I'm not ready, then if you really want to do this and you're not sure, then the thing to do is make yourself sure by making the decision. You can send me an email, mike@makemusicyourlife.com to find out about the program, or you can click the link in the show notes to find out about the program. We're starting in a couple of days. What is it? Thursday let me get the dates right. If you're in Europe or America, that side of the world, then it's Thursday the 27th. If you're in Australia and New Zealand, it's Friday the 28th. I do the sessions at 5 a.m. my time, so it's actually okay for all time zones. And that's when we're starting. So that's your call to action. Don't worry, this podcast isn't going to descend into a massively long sales pitch for everything that I'm doing. It's just, every now and again when a program's starting, I will obviously talk about what I'm doing. But, even if you decide that you don't want to make an album with me, please do the exit. But you want to make an album yourself, please do the exercise that I suggested. Make a list of all the things you've not decided, all the things you've not committed to, all the things that you're not doing, all of the things that you're avoiding related to making an album, and then start making those decisions and commitments. I can promise you that the solution to not moving forward is definitely not going to be found in staying still, in waiting. You have to move forward into the face of uncertainty. And if you'd like a hand to do that, well, you know where I am.